officially 2 people on each side of the board right here. I'm going to go with Triple C. I'm going to start calling people out because people take it too long. Don't be mad if you last, I ain't pick you. You know what I'm saying? Hey. Triple C, who do you got, brother?
I had to take a little intimation because I didn't want to. It ain't no fun if Trip got to pee on himself. So, wow. I would have given my answer a long time ago.
Here I was thinking you were playing up to the eat part of each. You're getting yourself a snack. Ho, 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 we live. You are now tuned in to Eats, Beats, and Rhymes. I'm your host, Yo, Jules DJ. You're in tune to another episode of Who Do You Got? The show takes 2 of your favorite artists, 2 of your favorite albums, 2 of your favorite crews, etc., etc. Put them in a round-for-round battle to ask the overall question at the end of the night. Who do you got? Tonight we're talking about 2 legends. We're talking about 2 guys that I'm just going to cut to the chase. Let's get that down to it. We're talking about 2 icons, let's be clear. One still in the physical, one in the spiritual. We're talking about Tupac himself, Tupac Shakur. His second album release, Strictly for My... hey, give you those guys. And Snoop Doggy Dogg, before he cut off the doggy part, all right? Snoop Doggy Dogg's first album release entitled DOGGYSTYLE. Give it up one time for who do you got for Snoop versus Tupac?
Yes.
Oh, man, it's going to be an interesting one tonight. I guess we could say it's kind of West Coasty tonight if we were going to go there, right? I mean, he was claiming total West Coast on these first, few. I mean, he never really claimed the East Coast if we think about it, even though he's technically... born. No, Brooklyn. It is Brooklyn, right? Yeah. Brooklyn keep doing it all the time. So listen, we're going to go ahead and introduce everybody around the room real quick. Again, we do this every Monday night, live on Twitch, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join us, and we're dropping new episodes on YouTube. Make sure you check us out. Eats, Beats, and Rhymes, one word. That's how you find us. Like, subscribe, leave some comments, give us some ideas for shows. We'd love to hear from y'all. Let's go around the room real quick. Start with my man. Usually 2 up, 2 down, my man in VA, DJ Hobo, but Tobo, you a little, and I don't want to say international, but let's just say international for the Fly Guy style. You're international today.
On the west side today. What up?
Ooh, is it the west side? I mean, you're technically right on time for this episode. Listen, who do you got?
Right? Yeah, I will get into it. I'm going with Snoop.
Going with Snoop. First vote down for the room, DJ Hobo, representing that VA side of things, a la California this time. It's going to be an interesting side of affairs for you that going down. We're going to start on down to the other side of the country. We're going back down to the East Coast. My man, 50 grand. My man with the quick answers. My man, Triple C, not so social, a.k.a. Triple C. Trip, what's going on, man?
What's up?
Listen, man, this man used to linger in your neighborhoods from time to time, one of these guys. You know what I'm saying? So I need to know off the bat, who do you got?
Going with the K9 father.
Okay.
I
took a hit right before we started. It took a second there. Keeping it still East Coast again, Queens again, because he's right over on the next side. And my man DJ Scandalous. DJ Scandalous, I'm feeling like you have something to say about this particular battle. Again, it's Tupac versus Snoop, respectfully, 2 separate albums. But who do you got?
Man, I got Snoop Deal Double.
Damn. It's looking very one-sided this evening.
Again, no love.
You know what I'm saying? And again, this is an icon that's put it down, has
no voting machines necessary.
Probably just as many albums as Snoop, most likely, to be honest. Let's go ahead and introduce my man Ike Infamous down in Long Island. Ike Infamous, what's going on?
Yo, peace.
Peace.
Yo,
listen, you already know the joke. I'm ready, loaded to go. The Tupac jokes are ready to go. You're looking. How are you voting tonight? I'm very biased for you.
I might even tell my brother to give me a bandana and do that.
I would thought you was gonna show up with one, to be honest.
Nah, you can't start off like that.
Oh, you gotta work your. I like
you gotta work the way. It's been so many years, you know what I mean? Yeah, there's levels.
Respect. I give. Who do you got, brother?
Snoop Dogg.
This is looking very one-sided.
Absolutely.
The tale of the tape tonight will see and describe how everybody's feeling at the end of the night.
But let me say, Tupac has done so much for my career. All right, so
I'm sure. Career. The ladies.
I'll ask that later.
I want to do someone new real quick before we keep going on to some more people in the room. My man Dave Jackson, straight out of Atlanta this time around. My man Dave, we've been friends for a while. I'm glad to see you again. I haven't seen you in a minute. Brother, thank you for joining us tonight. We're talking Tupac, Strictly for My Guys. Snoop Dogg, DOGGYSTYLE. My brother, who do you got?
Since we're not talking about Machiavelli versus DOGGYSTYLE, I'm going with Snoop.
You're going Snoop as well. Yeah. So apparently there's levels to the Tupacness, and we're gonna cover all that real quick. Listen, we got repeat offenders in the building. We got long time EBR alumni coming back to join my girl Pindy. What's going on, Pindy? Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hey.
Hi, y'all.
What's up, Andy? What's going
I'm trying
on?
to figure out how to move out of work mode so I can rename myself.
I'll do it for you. What you want me to be like? I'll rename it for you right now, girl. What you want me to do?
I got it.
You got it? I'm going to cancel my side. There you go. Listen, I don't know if you see somebody in the room you might recognize, but my man Dave Jackson in the building. A little alumni thing going on. Hey, you know what I mean? So again, I just wanted to.
Scorpio.
Oh, there you go. See. So, isn't Pac a Scorpio? Is he? Oh no, he's Gemini, right?
Gemini.
Yeah, I've heard the tales.
Scorpios though. Scorpios all day. Shout out to the Scorpios, man.
So listen, I mean, again, shout out to all the horoscopes that people, put their love lives and the future on every day. I love that. On your favorite animal or figurine. But again, I'm gonna get to the rest of the guys. But again, I just want ladies first. You just hopped into the room. Pindy, welcome so much for joining us again. Phenomenal P.
I want to be clear. So even though we're talking about the West Coast, livest one from Bedford-Stuyvesant.
Bed-Stuy to the day that you die. I understand.
And that changes my perspective a lot because the 90s New York that I grew up in, we didn't fuck with West Coast. It was a cardinal sin. So
finally, someone who fucking admits it in this room, because I've been saying this for the longest. I'm like, we were very biased.
I saw the Hit 'Em Up video by accident on Rap City. Like later, I met it was not DJs who played it. It was a
big deal. It was a big fucking deal.
Pick a side. So that adjusts my view of how I heard certain things and even how I received Snoop. Even though technically this album was before the beef, it actually was like right before. Mm-hmm. And to me, this Strictly for My Niggas was an East Coast album. All of the production. We're gonna get into that. Benny, I don't even want to cut you because there's so much you're already dissecting as part of the plan, and we're gonna get into. I see you got opinions on it. Okay. So at this point, I need to know, sis, real quick. Who do you got though? I got Snoop. Oh, I got a lot to explain on why I got Snoop. I really thought you pulled the cul-de-sac. We call it a cul-de-sac. I thought you was going the Tupac way. you quickly pulled out of the cul-de-sac and decided to go with Snoop though. We're gonna get into why you feel that way. Thank you so much for joining us tonight though. Thank you for joining us. And again, going around the room real quick, we're gonna wrap up. We got my man Cool Breeze in the building. Oh, Breeze. This is again kind of similar to Hobo in a sense where you represent one side, but you're in another side at the moment for the last few years, in fact.
Yes.
Does it affect how you feel about tonight's battle, Strictly for My Guys versus Doggy Style? How do you got?
Doesn't affect anything. I'm going with Snoop.
Oh, damn. It's completely one side. I thought he was reading in between the lines. Just for voters' sake. Not at all. Cool Breeze putting his vote down. But again, that's the hill you're going to stand on. We're going to talk about why you feel that way later on this evening. Wrapping things up. Back down onto the East Coast, going down to the DMV area. My man Mastermind 24K. What's going on, Papa? How are you?
Doing great, great, guys. How y'all doing?
All right, peace. Gentlemen, we're doing fine, Mastermind. Thank you for asking. Nobody ever asked me how I feel. But
we matters.
You guys just want questions and questions. Nobody says how you feel.
Relax after the second
Mastermind, I've respectfully, we're family. You're my cousin. I've seen you grown up a little bit. I'm a little older than you, and I have a sense of the kind of soundtrack that you kind of grew up to. Which way are you going with this battle? I need to know, who do you got?
Well, I was in middle school when I heard the Snoop and all that, right?
Oh.
But I was Sam Goody and I copped that Snoop Doggy Doggy
Sam Goody.
Damn.
Throwing it back.
What's
Sam Goody.
What's that?
Yeah. R.I.P. to Tupac, you know what I'm saying? But Doggy Dogg was my soundtrack back then.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, the last vote of the night, my man Mastermind putting it down, and I gotta be honest, it's a full room tonight.
Quack.
Again, y'all like one big family of ducks just waddling on the water together, and all just one big Snoop Doggy Dogg waddle in the lake of hip hop. Yes. Nobody sticking up for Tupac, and he did it strictly for you guys. He even named it for you, strictly for you guys, and nobody stood up for Pac.
It's racist.
We literally have the hologram, the hologram guy who plays the hologram in the building. He didn't even vote for Pac. Okay? And I'm saying that I will respectfully, devil's advocate style, stand up on Strictly for My Guys tonight, and we will get this game going. Again, we do this every Monday night. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Twitch. Join us here if you're in the chat room. Matter of fact, anything going on in the chat room yet? DJ Hope, I didn't get a chance to open my
Yeah, we got Douglas Hauser in there, Philly the Kid, MILITANT.
Okay. What's up, Philip? My bad. I'm always late on opening the app. My apologies. But shout out to everybody in the room.
Malcolm and Douglas Hauser are riding with the Snoop album. They're saying some pretty disparaging words against the Tupac album, but
damn.
I think people should have to say where they're from. Real.
It's a fact. Before we chase your IP.
So Douglas Hauser is from Chicago originally.
Okay.
And Malcolm is from Philly.
Listen, it's going to be an interesting night again. And again, so if you're joining us for the first time, sometimes no matter what team you technically vote on at first, depending on the questions, like I said, you never know.
You never know.
You never know. So again, here we go. Round number 1. Strictly for my guys from Tupac, his 1993 release. And Snoop Doggy Dogg's Doggy Style, his first album release, which was insanely crazed for when it came out. But again, both these guys representing the West Coast on these type of sounds and styles that they were delivering. They tend to say that Strictly for my guys album is sort of like his breakout album compared to the Tupacalypse album that first came out, which was really a little bit more, I guess, on the, what would we call it, on the more thought-provoking, sort of uplifting. You got Brenda's Got a Baby on there, sort of. What do you talk to me, Pindi? I see you.
Like he had like conscious rap,
Sunny, a thugged out conscious kind of thing.
It was on this album though.
It was
no, Brenda's Got a Baby was not on this album.
Yeah.
No, the
I Get Around
conscious rap is on this album.
The conscious rap was on this album.
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, that's what I'm saying. So this.
But the other album, I mean, Tupacalypse Now was really like more of who I think everybody expected Tupac to be. And this was his way of going in the opposite direction. This was like the conduit. And
this is him trying to get into the game more, play the game?
No, getting away from
oh, okay.
People have thought. When you look at who Tupac is and who you expect him to be, I feel like that's Tupacalypse Now.
Fair enough.
As we moved further into the depths of things and his affiliation with Death Row, right after Strictly for My Niggas, I feel like this is a roadway to that. That's my own personal opinion, but I just feel like it connects in a different way. But that being said, it was definitely had a different feel, had an East Coast feel to it, but something didn't pull in the same way.
Fair enough. I think that East Coast sound you're talking about is sort of, brought on the production side of things. So sort of the guest producers that were, featured all over that. I mean, you got people like Jam Master Jay, you got Stretch from Live Squad doing some production on this. So it definitely had sort of that East Coast kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, because Tupac was all over the place too, right? He was always moving. Tupac was always going here. That's why he had to feel everything, the South, the West, the East.
That's
He
true.
had a little bit of everything.
Indeed.
Right.
He was that guy to connect the dots. You're right. You're right about
different.
that.
He was entirely different.
With that being said, I wanted to talk about 2 particular songs that I feel sort of represent the sounds of both of these albums, sort of like what the Phenomenal Piece pointed out for us. So I just wanted to talk about real quick 2 tracks, bangers, heavily played on both, both albums. Let's go and talk about Tupac's "Holler If You Hear Me."
Oh, man.
Okay.
Yo, I
This
felt
was
like
Big
this
D,
album
right?
stayed. I felt like this album stayed on the Juice soundtrack.
That Juice vibe.
The whole album was a Juice vibe.
The
So I
Juice
hear
vibe.
Phenomenal P as far as saying it, like like Pac and the whole West Coast thing like that, and Snoop and everything like that. But like this had such a Juice vibe.
It did.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Even the producers, now I can't remember his name, who produced Mama's Gonna Knock You Out.
That was Marley Marl.
Marl, yeah.
Wasn't there another?
They might have. I mean, there's a lot of stories about Marley Marl having other people make the beat.
One of the influencers is on a few of the tracks. I remember that because this is like, again, the same thing. I missed it at the time because I was very New York with my shit. So like I had to go back and study it as a teenager. When I went back, like, okay, he's dead now. Now we can talk about Tupac. No, now all this.
It's a fact. I can't hold it against you. It's a fact.
Right.
Let's talk about it. And I feel like even that type of sound, like it became so synonymous. And then the use of the sirens and everything gave big Public Enemy vibes. Like all
Right.
Huge public
reference,
enemy.
all
Right.
the-
LI all
Same
day,
way.
baby.
A lot of bomb
LI
squad.
all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
LI all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely exactly with the exact reference of like the Public Enemy Bomb Squad kind of stuff. I remember hearing it today, going like, I was surprised they weren't a part of it. I mean, but then like I said, you had sort of still that East Coast influence, still peering through.
Can I
Stretch
say
did that
something
beat.
that might be a little bit controversial?
This is strictly barbershop talk. Strictly
So
barbershop.
I feel like those sirens and hearing that in certain songs, and it wasn't just the Bomb Squad that did it. It wasn't just in that song. It was very, I mean, so many different in influence, and I affectionately call it because I feel like the vibe that they're trying to set off.
Can I get an air horn for Pete, please?
I'm thinking of just the right like edit to put right on top of it. Like respectfully, like whether it's gonna be a you know, it's like the corporate tax man or like what, or like a picture of Jimmy Iovine or something.
She's like, I'm not trying to cancel
maybe
anybody, be canceled.
a siren that comes in when she says that. Woo, or something.
A picture of Leroy Cohen, just something. I'm just trying. It's in my brain. It's in my brain. It's in my brain.
But let's further define man in the sense so that I don't lose my job in case any of this gets
Not at all. Not at all. Please go ahead.
meaning the system, right? Let's
Right.
kill the system.
System.
Kill the system. So
That
the
was
sirens and what that sets off in you and give yourself flavor eyes as I'm watching myself do it. Like it gives that feeling and that anger. And when you listen to the lyrics, Pac is giving conscious. He's giving conscious, and he hates Dan Quayle. That's what he's giving.
You literally, it's so funny you say that. I re-listened again today. You know, things you miss from when like, not hearing it in such a long time. He mentions the vice president. At the time, I wouldn't have been surprised if he got a knock on the door by not Social Security.
He mentioned the president too. He mentioned the president too.
He's
Not just the vice
That
president.
too. You're right. I mean, it just caught me so off guard again listening today, going like, he mentioned Dan Quayle.
You mentioned a lot of cats out my
Yeah, he sure
A lot
did.
of people.
My name. That I feel like that was Tupac's MO, but you know.
The second song I'm about to play is not the first song on the album, but again, kind of sets the tone for what the album that Snoop kind of delivered as his first debut project after really, you know, being half the debut of The Chronic, if we're being for real. But again, I wanted to play something that sort of represents that sound, that style. Let's talk about the SHIZNIT.
Oh, there you go.
This shit make you want to ride.
Yeah, word.
It's so unfair. This East Beach Rhymes is so unfair, bro. This is so unfair. I might put the bandana on just because it's so unfair.
I mean, you probably should. I'm with
It's
you,
like
though.
it's so one-sided.
Listen,
So one-sided.
I don't know how you feel. Explode. Ike, you're talking the talk. Let's talk about it. Why do you feel it's so one-sided, sir?
This Doggy Style album was a different sound. You know what I mean? Like, think about the funk and everything that EPMD was doing at that time. And then Dre and this album just took that to a whole nother level. And like, there's nothing wrong with this album. Let me just say this now before I forget. This is one of probably 2-3 albums I can think of right now that is completely flawless from front to back. That's why I say this is so unsided. So I'm going with the SHIZNIT and everything else.
First vote of the night, put down by Ike. Infinite. Not holding back. Don't hold back, Ike. Don't hold back. The bass line is extremely catchy. Again, like I said, I wanted to pick 2 songs that I felt sort of represented both individual styles that they delivered with the rest of the album, and both on the production side. So just to reiterate again about the Holler If You Hear Me, back to what Pete said, very militant, very conscious, but still very street. And at that time, sort of veering a little bit away from that West Coast, again, which I was always associated him with, kind of sound, and not really appearing too much on this album from what I kind of, I mean, maybe a little bit, but again, very sort of East Coast thing.
Another thing, I didn't realize that was the first single. In my mind, remembered I Get Around being the first, or noted single.
That was actually the third single on that record.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, I
That
didn't.
was the first single.
Because keep your head up was the second one.
Keep your head up with the second one.
Right.
That's really.
That's right.
Yeah.
ironically, the fourth single, Papa's song. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Only on college radio.
Which is 4 different sides of Pac on this album. When you listen and think about that song.
Right.
4, that's interesting. I looked at it as 2, but 4. Can you break down the 4? Because I only viewed it as 2, as like the conscious and then the gangster. Like, what's the other 2?
Right, Holler if you hear me. I Get Around. He's a pimp player. Come on, that's all the way around, right? And what was the other song? We said
You had a
Papa song.
The Papa song.
The Papa song.
That's a different emotion, man. I could speak to that song. You know what I'm saying? That's a different kind of emotion. That's a lost young man. You know what I mean? Looking for a father. Yeah, hurt somebody. So there's 4 different aspects of Pac that you got on this album.
I think he made a career out of that. I think he did that on every record. Even
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, we
was
talking
very-
about the singles though. Just the singles. Think about think about being presented, because I'm huge on singles. Like, people be like, "Oh, listen to this song." I'm like, "Well, that shit is trash." Well, listen to the other song, and I'm like, "Well, if you gave me a pastry and the shit was trash, why do I want to go chase the pie?" You know what I'm saying? Like, the pastry's trash.
Well,
Word.
hold up. I'm gonna speak on behalf. I feel like
I'm the trash? What are you gonna do?
no, I'm behalf of the trash. No, but one thing we know for sure, especially me, you, Dave, in that office, hearing artists getting put out with their first single out, you're like, I would never. Tweets would have never listened to her if I would have based it on the singles, and you get a whole different person on the album. So I feel like that part you do have to scrape the surface a little bit, but to bring it to that same idea, but to Snoop, you made a really good point, Jules, about the introduction that we got to Snoop, right? We got an introduction to that Dre style of production, the use of samples that was different, very, very different than anything that Dre did with NWA. So it was like the continuation of that, super deep cut soul samples that now are standards, right? Like songs that were not necessarily as popular, or songs that were very region specific being used as samples. The singing chick, God bless her soul, I know she died recently, Jewel, rest in peace to Jewel, yeah. She can sing. And it's every song, but she brought that like, you know, almost soul roots gospel, like it was just a very different style. To your point, like Ike, right? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
To your point, Ike, it was just very, very, while we were familiar with it, it took it to a different kind of place.
To a different kind of level, yeah. Absolutely.
It felt very Blaxploitation, but it gave more than that. So it's like, what were my parents listening to? Okay, I'm familiar with that. Now put something new on it. Very, very different styles, even though they were friends from this, or you know, and representing the same place. Very, very different. And I think that's why the East related to that in a different kind of way, because of our familiarity with the use of samples. Kane, Eric B, Rakim, EPMD, like the way that the soul samples and that influence, and you gotta get me to move with the music first. Chubb Rock, Biz, the list goes on of East Coast rappers where you felt that first, and then you listen to what they were saying on top of it. Snoop did that, but in a very West Coast way.
Right. Yeah, that soundscape was like the soundtrack to LA if you had never been. It was different.
Yeah, for sure.
Was, like, if it was the first introduction to like West Coast music, you didn't grow up listening to like Cube or NWA or Gorillas in the Mist. Like, this was the thing that painted it for you. It was a picture painter. That's why it's so good. Yeah, put it on and walk away from it, and that's why like I had to pick this record because it's damn near anthems all the way through it. It's an album of anthems. You can't escape a hit record on that song, and you know how we feel about that. Like, I think we all thought Rick Ross was gonna be a one-hit wonder. We were dead wrong.
or at least like a good 2 albums, but definitely.
The way that Snoop record hit, it was like, all right, I gotta dive into it, because one, it's not just the sample selection. Some of those songs you couldn't get clear back in the day.
Right. There's a whole story we can talk about if you want to talk about that. And we're gonna at a certain round though. And I'm glad you brought it up though, Dave.
Yeah. There were songs,
Hold on to that though, because we definitely gonna talk about certain songs not making the cut and then making the cut.
Yep. I mean, 7 kilovolts.
So boom. So we're talking about 2 songs again that represent both sides of the spectrum for both these guys that are sort of taken very seriously in hip hop at this point, especially being West Coast guys having to sort of hold that hill down, like, you know, don't fuck with me sort of seriously. ironically, Snoop brought a bit of like sort of a lightheartedness. I think that funny comedic angle that they brought to the videos and stuff like that sort of definitely helped. From Gin and Juice just kind of bugging out, having a house party, to Doggy Dogg World, just again like you said, it's black exploitation, pimp shit. And
standing on the devil's roof, man.
You know, so, and then you have Pac again, super militant, trying to drop knowledge, trying to drop science. Who do you got? We're talking about both songs. I think Dave was. Were you picking Snoop when you were saying that?
I'm picking Snoop because I got my first interception and smoked my first blunt on the back of the football team basketball.
It's okay. Listen, if that's the nostalgic hill that you want to stand on, I respect it.
That's what's up. That's what's up, D.
I am okay with that.
He laughed past the blunt.
Just the vibe I'm getting from the room. Maybe I could be wrong. I'm an energy kind of guy. I'm getting a lot of the SHIZNIT kind of vibe right now. Does anybody want to raise their hand strictly for my guys? Holla if you hear me.
I want to, but I'm not going to.
I feel similarly.
I want to, but I'm not going to.
There's the DJ Hobo I know.
Growing up in a different, I'm from Virginia, so I grew up in a different space than I think everybody in here. Everybody's from New York except for Dave. I don't remember where you're from.
He said no.
But it was for me and I'm not a Tupac fan, to be clear, at all.
At all? Whoa!
I hear you.
Wait, not at all. That's harsh. That
is a little harsh.
That's a little harsh.
I was like, there's a couple of joy. The Machiavelli album alone.
But I'm not really. I hate talking. Kind of like what P said. I didn't really check for Pac until after he died. But I like Holla If You Hear Me, and it does give me that East Coast juice, that time frame, that vibe, and I liked that vibe. I liked that sound. I did, and I really liked that he was like, huh?
Holla If You Hear Me got the same beat as the Jungle Brothers. Didn't Jungle Brothers use that?
They use the same sample.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did use the same sample.
Yeah, the same sample.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
again, back to what people were saying too, like bringing that East Coast sound.
I felt like it's a dope song. It's one of the songs that I do like from Pac.
I want to keep the room moving because I got a couple of interesting points that we're sort of delving on right now that have to do with round number 2. So just to quickly wrap this up, does anybody feel Holla If You Hear Me for real? Not this little flirt that DJ Hobo's doing. I reject your flirt. I reject your flirt.
It's a flirt because I don't necessarily.
No, don't flirt, P. You either gonna
the matchup. You got to think about the matchup.
You're either gonna give me the phone number or you're not. Don't say you're gonna don't give me Instagram.
Yeah.
The phone number or you're not. Do you holler if you hear me or no?
You gonna take your drink back? No,
I'm gonna stop paying on the lease. I'm gonna stop paying on the lease.
Then I gotta give it to Snoop. But it's a strong feeling. It's a strong feeling because those two being matched up feels a little different.
Yeah.
Again, one of the most popular songs. It's a very, very popular song, though. Again, like I said, it was an introduction to the album, literally, and then it was also an introduction to his world at that point. And I think he kind of represented that to his dying day. I mean, to a certain degree, like he stayed conscious, he stayed militant to a certain degree, even he got sloppy at some point. But it was always still like the message. It was a message, the hip hop, and I have something to say. That's how I always took Pac.
There's always, and there's two sides to it. Two sides to him. I hear you on the 4 sides, but I've seen the 2 sides as like just that struggle, so to speak.
I think it's safe to say, the whole room is, again, just waddling together in the pond and just following each other respectfully. Everybody in the room has voted one side. The house is about to tip because it's just so one-sided. We're good they went on a plane. But I got to give it up as well. I think the SHIZNIT is a great record. Again, a great bass line, a great just everything about it. And the room goes the SHIZNIT. So this round, Holla If You Hear Me versus the SHIZNIT, we're talking about Snoop Dogg taking up the reign on this one, giving Doggystyle round number 1, the official point on the board.
It's gonna get torn up on the internet.
And I bring up this sort of sour face that I make at the moment only for one reason, and the reason being it was kind of difficult to put these 2 records against each other as much as I thought it would be easier. And with that being said, I had to try to start out the vibe with something that everybody could sort of just relate to, and I think both those records did that. But the confusion and the debate that we're sort of facing after talking about those 2 records is the following. The ups and downs that both these guys bring to the table. Again, Pac easily sort of at that time, before any kind of charges or alleged charges were thrown around or whatever. He was trying to uplift the community. He had records that that we're going to talk about tonight, like "Keep Your Head Up," right? Respectfully, this round we're going to bring up "Keep Your Head Up," and then you had the other side of things, which was the Snoop, again, sort of bringing that same sort of West Coast stand-up gangster material, because it was all gangster rap back then, right? They weren't bringing it out; they were in gangs back then. But long story short, Snoop's version of bringing his sort of West Side sort of story to the table was very much the opposite end spectrum of what kind of Pac was bringing, right? And as close as a record as I can get to "Keep Your Head Up," the exact opposite, and I did this on purpose.
Yo.
To show how both guys G's up, hoes down versus "Keep Your Head Up."
You chose G's up, hoes down. Wow.
Listen to the sample. Listen to the sample.
Okay.
Fair enough. You cleaned that up really well.
He did.
Yo,
this got cut from the album originally.
I know. Yo.
This got cut from the album.
Really?
if you did not want to go back and find out about where this sample was from or where they got that sound from, you just wasn't a fan. You just wasn't a fan of music.
Yeah, he didn't want to clear the sample. But he realized with X amount of technically speaking, and we know this number probably to be a little bit low. Snoop's debut album has been sort of rumored, again, not according to RIAA numbers, but to our god Wikipedia, to be about 7 times platinum. It would go with 11 times platinum worldwide sort of number thrown around.
Right.
I believe it.
RIAA has it listed at 4. I definitely don't think that's 4.
Remember, it came out redigitalized back in like 09, I think, or something like that.
Yeah,
11
units. That's a whole different.
Again, it's a 7 times. I'll throw the number 7 out there. Just like I said, I think that's a believable number, and it's also his highest selling album to date. Every album after that either went platinum, gold, or like double platinum. Never anything higher than that. So this is like his baby, if you will, which maybe want to explain why he maybe wanted to buy the whole thing back, right? I don't know if that includes that album, but I could see why he maybe want that back. So again, that mellowed out track talking about the ladies, Snoop's POV of the lifestyle, right, that he introduces to us as kids that we're all listening to. He's up, hoes down. Versus on the other side of the spectrum ideology, right, that of being "Keep Your Head Up," and that of being, sort of giving women at that time, sort of like a push in that direction, like, we're here to help, you're not alone, sis. And it's still a good ass record.
It's a great record. And how many times can you say Pac has an absolutely amazing produced record, right?
I mean, yeah. This is a hot record, man.
It's a great record.
It's a great record.
That's a great record.
This record was getting him crossover play at a time when records,
yeah, for sure,
from our world weren't getting crossover records at that time. Far and few. You know what I'm saying? Your Cypress Hills, your Naughties, and this is a classic example.
This played on MTV. Very
all the time
in rotation. Not just Young Petey Raps.
Not just Young Petey Raps. Wasn't this after he had the incident where he shot the 2 cops?
Yeah,
was that after? And like I feel like this was like a redemption song for him almost, man. Like he put. And now, unfortunately, we were talking about it in the chat a little bit. He had the incident with the rape accusations after this, but so like the dichotomy of it, but this was like a redemption song for him. Like everybody's like, I think this is where the. Now, I don't know if this is around the time when the lady started to love you with the Tupac lookalike. but I mean,
love you long time.
The ladies was loving Tupac around this time. He could do no wrong, right? Like this was like
he could do no wrong. Yeah, he could do no wrong. Yeah, he could do no wrong.
The thing about Keep Your Head Up, though. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Speak on it.
The thing about Keep Your Head Up, though, is like one. starting with the sample, Ooh Child is a very, it's one of the more popular songs, right? In this use of a sample. So when we talk about that familiarity and what happens and how we connect with music, it's that same thing. This feels familiar. I'm listening, my ears are perked because it feels familiar. And now you're saying something on top of it. And what he was saying was dope and gave a great opportunity for something, you know, to really be said.
That's an interesting thing that you brought up. I think at that same time, Boys in the Hood came out, and that was a pretty heavily played record at the beginning of the movie.
Soon after, but I'm gonna fuck you up, Jules, and let me tell you why.
Do it.
He means like this, not like this. Relax.
No.
Triple C
I mean like this.
That's what I meant, like this, like your finger against my head, like.
I'm gonna fuck you up. Because you paired these songs together. Now, I thought where you were going to go.
It's the vision of the ladies.
But I thought you were going to talk about Lady Rach, who was my motherfucking bitch.
Wow. Well, that's an interesting. See, this is why we need to more often.
About him, who he still stands for, still fucks with, and speaks to the character of who Snoop is by the people who he's kept around and the relationships he's maintained and why you see his long-term success and all of that. So I thought you were going to pair the support of women to a song about the support of women.
That, you know what? That's interesting because again, I really do dig your point of view on that so much. I really do. And ironically, just to speak, just to add on to what you were saying about Lady Rage, let's be clear. She's right. Snoop literally has her open on his album. She's
one of the
complete
opening
to the Jay-Z situation. Like she opens up, and we already heard Rage at this point on the Chronic, but he didn't have to put her first.
No.
But the first rap you hear is her.
Man, that track was so dope. It had to put that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, are we gonna call an audible? Should we switch up? Should we?
Nah.
I wasn't gonna let it happen anyway. I was just teasing y'all. Y'all hope. That's it.
I respect your rationale and I respect your decision in that regard. I definitely.
There are women at this point in time. We're talking 93, early 90s, like I said, that weren't offended by being, called a bitch and a hoe and all that, and some that were. Again, I think that still treads today. But this is Snoop's, if you want to, young, and we can blame it what it is, sort of misogynistic point of view at that point in time, with Pac's sort of feminist, sort of view at that same point in time. But again, the point I'm trying to drill here is both guys are like, again, gangster rap. And you have these two different POVs of what they consider to be sort of records about women.
No,
I would let that ride, except.
Oh, wow. I was almost there.
I would let you get away with that, but Tupac did the sequel to Humps and a Bump, where I Get Around, and it's on the same record. Well,
fair enough, Mr. Dave Jackson. Fair enough. and you see, I turned my screen off. Fair enough. Wow. This is the second time that he's on it right before the next question. So yeah, we're gonna discuss. Stay right there with me, brother. Stay right there because we're gonna get there. But you're right. What you're bringing up is 100% true. And again, it's sort of the play on like which version of their POV when it comes to women at this point. And I do appreciate P's other fork in the road for it. And it would have been super cool if I was that cool enough to come up with that. But I do respect that because I think that would have been a cool challenge. I like throwing curveballs, and I think that kind of curveball to the room would have been like, oh shit, okay, I see where you're going with that. So I appreciate that. It would have been
some bail though. I'm gonna shoot you some bail because I'm a pick Pac on this one.
You ain't gonna be no Playboy. You want to go Snoop, you can go Snoop. But if I appreciate you, if that's the way you want to go.
No. Holistically, I'm picking that song because of where we were at the time, the environment where we were in. We were still in the middle of crack. That calmed down picnic, calm people down. That was like a get along song where people, the OGs, be like, "Yo, no, calm down, yo."
The riots had happened by that point too, right? Already on the west side.
Yeah. It also was something where you could justify rap to your parents. Am I the only one who had to look for those songs?
No,
that's an interesting point.
I had heavy music and my grandma loved it.
I was old enough. I didn't have to justify.
I was
old enough.
I was a youngin'. I had to justify. I felt like I was personally selling hip hop to my parents. Like, look, you got different stuff.
You didn't have Heavy D. Heavy D had nothing but love for you. Everybody's
Heavy D was a safe man.
Yeah.
I got enough
for Heavy D in the crib and then walk outside and play NWA and it was cool.
Yeah, no, there definitely were levels to it, but I think a lot of Keep Your Head Up, and the reason that it resonated so much is, and that's my choice, by the way, this round, it was Tupac's own life and influence. And when you look at the dichotomy of who he was and the duality in who he was, a lot of that came from who his mother was, right? And that she had these two sides to her. And you almost start to wonder, I'm sure, in a complex mind, is one side influencing the other side to do whatever is right or wrong? Do you know the fact that she's coming from an underprivileged background, finds her way into a situation that should be affirmative and being with the, run and being a part of the Black Panther movement, then being amongst and watching women get abused within that movement, then crack hits, they funnel that into that system. So then there's a whole other follow-up to it. Then motherhood, trying to beat that challenge, instill certain values into her kids, but at the same time struggling with her own addiction. It's like, this song is a true representation and introduction to the complexity that was Tupac. And when you look at him, you see all of that in his music. I feel like this song to me is the one that stands aside, along with, as Dave said, I Get Around, which sits, to your point, Jules, on the complete opposite fucking side.
So this is again the Gemini spectrum that we're gonna get into. Like I said, we're gonna talk about the album.
You broke it down.
You broke it down. I just like that song. I made sure that song made the record, and that was one Miss Jada Smith. Make sure
she was in the video. You're right.
She made sure that record got onto that album and told him you need to do something positive. So there's also
what is it about that record though that
I'm about to change my vote. Jada be getting on my nerves.
This is young innocent Jada. This is young innocent Jada. Not jaded Jada.
No. This Jason Lear, booty on the grass, Jada. We can let that slide.
Yeah.
This Peaches. This is Peaches. I'll take Peaches. All right, got it. Peaches. Low down, dirty. Yeah.
Well, I like Peaches. Peaches cool.
Like I said, I'm just going with the vibe because I wanted to dissect some of this more conversation we're talking about these two great artists again with these two breakout albums. Is Keep Your Head Up sort of the vibe that I'm getting from the room at this point, or does someone want to stand differently and feel sort of, and you're allowed to obviously go the other way, or are we all one side here as well?
Well, Keep Your Head Up.
You as well?
I think Keep Your Head Up. It was the more, I think also the more crossover record and bigger record for this one.
Iconic record, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a summer record. It was a summer record.
Yeah.
Ooh, it was. Yeah.
Back to school shopping.
Barbecue season heavy.
And I'm gonna say,
yeah.
That record is a timeless record as well too.
Timeless.
Yeah.
The question, it's funny, all these things, these accolades that everybody's sort of saying about this record, and the question I have for you is, what was it about the record? Because even back then, it was different. It's still, even a record like that today would be different. I mean, I still don't hear records like that today. But back then, so what was it about that record being so, let's call it positive, that still that thing so cool?
Yo, it's the emotion in the record, man. Listen,
in the original too, yeah.
Music doesn't matter. Music doesn't matter if there's no emotion into it, right? And Tupac was a different artist because the way he expressed his emotions, period, was just felt through everything that he did. So when he poured his emotions into this record, you feel every emotion to this record, besides the similarity to the rhythmic sound and everything like that. And in the video, it's just that's it. You know what I mean?
Dave Hollister's voice. Let's talk about that part, because that's a huge part in terms of executing on.
Some people don't even know that. That's Dave Hollister on the hook.
That's Dave Hollister. Yeah. It was him, and he was on
one of Chicago's finest.
Yeah, there you go, Dave.
One of the greatest debut records of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I still like Chicago '85. I think that's a great album.
No, that's the second record.
No, but I'll say I like Chicago '85. Got lost in the mix. I feel like everybody was kind of like, yeah. I'm like, nah, it's a really great album. But anyway.
No, I think that the way his voice paid homage to the classic sound. He wasn't giving pure. At that time, R&B was definitely more riffy. Everybody was under the Charlie Wilson influence. How much riffing we gonna do before we get to the next word? Like, that's legit. That was the Midwest sound in that. And Dave was more soulful with it. And I think that on this track with that sample and these lyrics made for something that could connect in a different kind of way.
I agree.
I mean,
And
even
also
MTV executives agree.
because Pete said it too, generationally. This is something that played during the Frankie Beverly and Maze set. Like,
Wow.
it kept everybody cool. Like, it wasn't gonna change the vibe of the situation. Like, they're like, yo, who is that? The older cats would be like, yo, who is that? Oh, that's Tupac. That's Tupac? Oh, okay. You know.
Keep Your Head Up is one of the songs that my mom will sing. And Keep Your Head Up, my mother loves that song. And my mother, I'm a preacher's kid, so my mother's a first lady. And she
very picky about her hip hop.
She don't be doing that.
Very picky about her hip hop. I'm sure. Again, I think the entire vibe of the room is, like I said, is being leaned over to the other side of the house, but still all together now. Keep your head up. Yeah, I want to make sure everybody understands the group versus one here, apparently. But Keep Your Head Up being the round winner when we asked the question, Keep Your Head Up versus G's Up, Hoes Down. I don't know why, but again, everybody was so gung-ho about Doggy Style when we started. All of a sudden, people have a heart.
And you know me.
People got
Doggy Style overall, but we gonna go
there's a body of work.
Listen.
I got a couple wins on that record. That's cool, but if I gotta put them next to each other,
I plan to divide the room with the next question, Mr. Jackson.
All right, here we
put
go.
it down right now. First, I want to make sure that I make it clear that round number 2, when asked about these two records, G's Up, Hoes Down versus Keep Your Head Up, off these two spectacular albums, we're talking about Tupac, Strictly For My Guys, Snoop Doggy Dogg's Doggy Style. The room went entirely one-sided and went with Keep Your Head Up by Tupac. So round number 2 officially puts Tupac on the board. We're talking 1-1 apiece now. It's officially tied up. If you was repping a certain team, stick to your guns, shoot against the wind. Hey, it's whatever you feel like. Here we do this every Monday night. 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, live on Twitch. We're dropping episodes on YouTube. Check us out. Like, subscribe, leave a comment.
Yes.
Round number 3, fellas. I know everybody in the chat room probably went with Keep Your Head Up as well.
Yeah, they did. And the lady. Don't forget the lady.
You said fellas.
No, that's are there ladies in the chat room today? I didn't know.
No, but there's a lady in the.
Oh well, no, I was talking about the chat room specifically. But you're right. No, listen, I'm fully aware of our guests tonight. Like I said, thank you guys again for joining us. I appreciate you guys joining us. Again, the conversation moves on to round number 3, but it still sticks to the topic about how diverse both gentlemen were, but how similar they were at the same time. And how friendly they became later on in life and then unfriendly. I asked about both these guys initially in the beginning, who do you got? It's the initial question we start with in every battle with. No kind of hustle and bustle behind this. Who do you got? And initially, obviously, the one guy that got the most votes was Snoop Doggy Dogg, for the Doggy Style album. And again, that doesn't dictate how the room's going to go for most of the battle, but I wanted to talk about, not music for a second, but let's talk about the style and personalities of both these rappers. Let's talk about Tupac's, what I like to sort of summarize, and maybe you guys can add a few more verbs or adjectives or maybe more pronouns, whatever you feel like adding. But I feel like I sum him up in my eyes as the more militant uplifter versus Snoop Dogg's more hustling street pimp personality. I see what everybody kind of, guided it, like I said, the Snoop's album in the beginning. Does that street pimp hustling mentality have something to do with your vote? Or are we, and is Tupac's more militant, uplifting sort of attitude working against him or for him? It's sort of the question for both guys at this point. It's sort of like, who do you pick? Which personality do you pick at this point? The more uplifting, militant?
I think there's more to there's more to both, what we've all talked about. But there's more to Snoop. But you're right in character.
Well, only these 2 albums though.
No. But even in this album, characterize it as hustler and whatever. It's the effortless, more laid back, and definitely more playful. And we've seen that open up in Snoop as time has gone on. But the seeds of this were sown at this point. I think as he got older, he got more comfortable being more playful because he no longer was the kid, so to speak. I think he had that like, little brother syndrome where I gotta be you know, I got to stand in a different way in order not to be seen in, you know, in a certain light. But that being said, I feel like Pac, I don't know, again, I, so to speak, learned Pac after he died. And so in watching interviews, and of course I knew who he was when he was alive, but it just, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't searching through Vibe to read what the interview with Pac said, the way I was for other rappers and other artists that I, you know, felt about, or The Source, or Right On, whichever the fuck magazine was out at the time. Like, I wasn't looking, I wasn't checking for Pac like that. But that being said, and seeing who he was, it wasn't that it was disingenuous. It's just that it was, they sat so far on different sides that I couldn't vibe with it and connect with it in the same way. When you watch interviews with him from when he was at Baltimore School of the Arts, and he's completely put on about his future and bright-eyed, and I don't think the world turned him over at that point, but I think he'd learned to put on to a certain extent. So when he started hanging around the street hustlers and all the other people and he absorbed a piece of that persona. I feel like every group that he went into, he kind of sucked a little bit in, and it became a different kind of persona that we saw. Now, obviously, I didn't know him personally, but I think that probably, looking back on knowing myself, limited my connection with Pac, the artist, in that it's a certain piece of how genuine you can be and how true you live it. So that's why the records like Keep Your Head Up that read like poetry, because I believe Pac was a poet.
He wrote a book. He had that book.
Right. But no, but I'm saying, like, that's who he was at heart. But when you get some of the more rough and tough gig, like, the wordplay is clever, but you don't feel it in the same way, for me anyway. And I feel like Snoop was more laid back, his style, everything. And
well, that's what I mean. It's the contrast. It's the contrast that I want to bring to the table. Like you said, the intensity versus laid backness. You know, this militant versus pimp style. You know, sort of laid backness. The type of music that they're putting out, literally, with both these two projects. Which is the one that you're leaning more towards now that like I said, now that we've combated two questions already that had to do with sort of like the opposite end of the spectrums, but why do we like both so much? I gave you the Keep Your Head Up, and everybody gravitated to that because it's so, it makes me feel good, and it's a good record, and even my mother likes it and all this. It's cool. And even we still like it. It's rare that a record our mother's gonna like that we like.
Yeah.
And then we start with, like I said, the SHIZNIT. And that's the one that, you know, it's like, nah, that's the one. Again, the opportunity to go with the sort of militant vibe again, or more, you know, uplifting about our people type of vibe, wasn't there. Everybody wanted to sort of go more the party side, you know, the cool laid back sort of laid. And again, nothing wrong with that. That's what we love about each one of them.
The sample.
That too. That's what's
about how it connects in the same way, because the same people who said my mother liked your mother probably liked the sample of the SHIZNIT more than they would have listened if you took the lyrics away.
Right, but your mother might also like to Keep Your Head Up because of the sample in there. Well,
but that's my point. So in terms of how people connect with music, the music, lyrics, but the music.
Right, but now we're talking about the persons. That's the question I'm bringing now in terms of their personality that make that music.
I feel like one thing that I don't know if I won't say overlooked, but one thing that we're not taking into account, Pac really, like, Pac has a really strong, like, fan base, man. I don't think we can discount that. Like, a lot of people really like, almost like, I'm cultish too strong, but it's kind of cultish how people feel about it.
I can attest for somebody that people that say look like Pac. When I tell you that I have stories on top of stories from any creed, character, or person walking this earth that has came to me and had a Tupac story, something. I put up a video one time asking a question, put the bandana on, put it up on YouTube. It ended up having like 87,000 views or something like that.
I agree. I'm gonna say this. They were both fearless black men at a time when you had to be afraid of the world that you were in. Pac was truly a nigga. I watched him bust down a secretary of Priority Records. So I'm not gonna say that he was all purely an angel in that way, even though he was very militant, even though he was a Black Panther, even though he was a poet, he was very much so opportunistic and fearless. He was gonna get it any means necessary. He meant what he said. I'm gonna also say that Snoop is also truly authentic in who he is. He can't be anybody other than a Crip from Long Beach. And whatever comes with that, there's positives and negatives about them both. But if we're just talking about the raw energy of the records, I'm still gonna hang with Snoop because I know that authenticity and that energy and the desperation of like, any day my life could come to an end because I'm in the middle of this 9-year gang war.
Yeah.
This is my way out. I'm gonna fight through it through these lyrics. I'm gonna hit that. Like, I'm gonna take Snoop on that one all day long.
You're going with Snoop on this, okay?
They both had their positive points, but in that particular place, I feel like I always look at Pac like Most Def West Coast. Like, you never know what you're gonna get out of that dude. You never know what the album is gonna actually be like. You know it's gonna be lyrical. The beat selection may be a little suspect.
Don't bring Moses into this. Don't bring Moses.
Fendo, you know Moses in my top 5, so let's not do that.
Okay.
You know
just know I'm ready to be wife number 9. I'm ready.
No, you know this. I'm never gonna disrespect Dante Smith ever in this lifetime. That is
Good
my
job.
nigga.
Hey, Jules.
But I will say I see them similarly because they're just fearless wordsmiths who don't care what anybody thinks. It's gonna go down regardless.
But
With Snoop, with that DOGGYSTYLE record, it was like releasing energy. You can't listen to that album without feeling like.
Here's what I'm gonna say.
I feel so motherfucking good to feel this record all the way through. Like it was just a different time for me, personally. I'm not gonna compare personalities because we could do that all day long.
Fair enough.
To say, I was outside when they were doing this, and they were both fearless, and they both had shit to live for.
That I'm looking at both of these artists, but if you look at Tupac and how militant he was, he definitely pushed a lot of people in a certain type of mindset to kind of to push forward and to get certain things going and to kind of stand up for what you believe in. But a lot of these people now, a lot of these millennials, some people don't even listen or like Tupac. So their music is completely different from what we were accustomed to listening to. But the thing is with Snoop, he's in the weed culture, he's more laid back. He's more into the chilling and the partying vibe. And I think most people are in that vibe now more so than ever.
What about you?
No, you with the bong in your hand.
No, I'm saying I understand people, but I'm like, but what about you? Like, do you feel the same way? Like,
I didn't finish. So, but what I'm saying is that I would go with I understand the militant. I get it. I mean, we all have a mission that we're trying to pursue and to get going. But I'm gonna go with Snoop on this one because I think with Snoop, his angle is I'm gonna bring everyone together one tree at a time, even though everybody doesn't smoke. But it's just his.
I like that.
It's his,
Go ahead. One tree at a time, baby.
It's his vibe.
Take a hit of that, Jules. Take a hit of that.
Yeah. It's the vibe. It's the energy.
Make sure that water's clean.
Yeah, there's probably tap water in there, but
tap water, clean tap water.
Yeah, all right.
New York tap water.
But at the end of the day, I'm gonna go with Snoop on this one, and it's not to discredit anything that Pac has put forward, because at the end of the day, what Pac was talking about was stuff that was going on before he was around, and it's gonna continue. So it's just like, is this gonna take, I think, another shape or another form to get to where things are gonna get better.
Right. No, fair enough. And just to go back to what Hobo was saying real quick. Hobo, when you mentioned that level of fame that you're talking about that Snoop has, I think Pac is another person that holds that same level. I mean, well, I'm skipping on what he said. Basically, long story short, when we think about some of the most popular rappers in the entire world, I feel like Snoop definitely falls into that category. I feel like this is a guy
for sure.
You can go to Scotland and they're like, oh my God, it's Snoop Doggy Dogg.
For sure.
But he had more time to build that, obviously.
True, but because you're going where I'm going, P.
Right.
You're going where I'm going. Where a guy like Pac, who didn't have that type of lifespan, I bet you in Scotland there's somewhere some sort of mural Tupac or Tupac fan or like some kind of
for sure.
Like when it comes to the hip hop square, whatever their little hip hop world is, Tupac's represented in that room, wall, floor. So it's like that level of fame that both you get, and it's because of the way that he proceeded to move his way in music and life, right? And I'm glad that y'all understand it. So when you said that, I just want to get your vote though. Who did you meet?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with Tupac because I feel like, and I'm not saying that Snoop is fronting because, like Dave said, he has a lifestyle, and his lifestyle is a kid from Long Beach, and that's what he is. But I think, for everything that Tupac was, I think he displayed his true Gemini self and the struggle that he was going through on all of his albums, but especially on this one, because we're talking about this album. To go from Keep Your Head Up to I Get Around is they're this side of the spectrum, right? Yeah. So I just, and I think it was infectious, and I get why people love Tupac. And in the chat room, they talk about, MILITANT specifically said that people didn't really start messing with Pac until after he died, me included.
There's a good chunk of people, and again,
but I think, but he said he didn't get a lot of his fans until after this album. But I think that is doing a great disservice to I Get Around, Keep Your Head Up, and Brenda's Got a Baby. I think those songs really endeared him to a lot of people.
But it changed after this album, and I think that's one of the this album was a pivot because it was right before the rape charge at Nell's. By the way, those of y'all not familiar with Nell's in New York City that existed on 14th.
Wow.
That's where everybody got caught the fuck up. Mr. C, everybody.
Oh damn!
Everybody got caught the fuck up.
and it's okay. We don't judge here at EBR. It's all right to get caught up. We don't judge. Get yourself caught. It's all right.
Just so you know, New York City street stories that happened. But anyway, but
even with what you said, but. I know you're about to pivot about the sort of Gemini ways that he has in terms of
I don't know about the Quad Studios and the fact that that to me was his departure from the things that were so East Coast about this album. He went in the other direction after because he split with what were the ones that
Live Squad.
Stretching them. Yep. Split with them after the Quad Studios things. He denounced everything in very Gemini fashion. To your point, DJ.
Rest in peace, Stretch. By the way, rest in peace.
He denounced everything East Coast about what he was doing and went all the way west after that when he decided that Haitian Jack and Biggie, and he stepped out against everybody. He said, "Fuck all y'all East Coast niggas," and
except for Tretch,
we go. Except for Tretch, and to the west we go. So I feel like this is also one of those. This album is very, very. It sits in a very different space because this was the only opportunity he had to work with powerhouses in a way and create this kind of sound and for it to live. So the album deserves its credit. I just think it sits in a different place. And Pac always deserves his credit. But
when it comes, like I said, to the personalities based on both these albums, what is the vote you got here?
The personality displayed on these between these two albums is Snoop for me. It's Snoop for me. It's just a matter of where I connect. But I will not keep your head up.
No discredit.
I Get Around. Two Pac songs I have known for years. And to that same point, being an East Coaster, being a New Yorker, those were the last Pac records that played really, really in rotation. Because regions changed, internet changed the world. We didn't get everybody's records from everywhere. You had to wait for people to bring tapes and shit. So if his song wasn't playing on the radio, so those songs played on Brenda's Got a Baby from Tupacalypse Now, Keep Your Head Up, I Get Around. They played on the radio. They played in New York. When those beefs happened, New York said "fuck Pac."
Yeah.
And so I missed that.
Except for Dear Mama. But Dear Mama was a complete crossover though.
Yeah, that was different. But again, that was more MTV and less radio.
Yeah, that was the impact of the MTV crowd. But okay, so listen, I got to keep moving on for the rest of the room real quick. But thank you for dropping all those nuggets on us, my man Triple C. Listen, we're talking about personalities here. This is, I look at you and I wonder whose personality are you going with in this particular round right here?
I'm going with Snoop.
You going with Snoop?
Yeah, Pac is bipolar.
But I see you as being like a
Kanye 1.0.
Damn.
In my brain, I see him as the bishop to your steel. Like I don't understand how. I just saw y'all hanging together in my brain. Like I don't lie, Triple C. Why you hurt my heart right now?
Hey,
you say bishop to my steel, yo? Come
bishop to his steel. Like I did. Like come on, man. I fuck Brenda from down the block, man.
Herpy legs, yo.
I'm still hurt by that character he played in Juice. I'm still hurt.
Bishop. Okay, so you're saying Snoop, to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Triple C with the quick fast. Mastermind 24K. Again, I had a certain way I thought that you were voting earlier, but it's the beauty of the game. We don't know.
Let him talk. You know what I'm saying? Let everybody talk. You know
No. Please speak on. Like I said, we're talking about, like I said, the type of personalities that we both displayed, that everybody's displaying, on both these guys. Which is, like I said, the vote that you would give the room for.
I'm gonna shoot my vote, and I'm gonna have an explanation for that too, right? So I'm going for Snoop. I'm a chill dude, right? Nobody tried, like, you know, saying, like, he was always, like, you know, saying on his shit. Nobody tried to murder. When he came to Pac, there was a time, an incident with Mike Geronimo, where he caught up at the tunnel.
Yeah, way back. Okay.
And somebody tried to stab Pac, and Mike Geronimo had to be like, yo, chill, that's my man. Had to take it to the back. So you already know, it was tension. It was tension, because whatever was going on with Pac, it was like a lot of beef going. Yeah, bro. So I'm sticking with that. I'm sticking with Snoop, baby.
Your math is blowing my mind. I don't know how that connects, but good for you, that's my 24K. I love it, baby. Thank you for the knowledge.
I hear the unspoken.
I must be really high.
I got you. I got you.
Baby.
Salute, because I didn't get that shit. But yes, I saw that episode as well. You did Scandalous.
Yes, sir.
Again, we're just talking personalities this time. It's a little break from the music side, but still related to the albums. Who do you got when we're talking about this?
I got Snoop Dogg on this one, man. I just for me, just real quick, I just think for these particular albums, I just like the character and the consistency of Snoop more on these particular projects. I think Pac was just a little bit more all over the place, but not in a bad way. But
no, I feel you on that though. It is okay.
You know, but I think for these albums to keep it consistent, I think I like Snoop's debut. I like the consistency of what he was doing, and for that, I'm going with Snoop on this one.
Fair enough. I think just to add on to what you were saying right there, I think when we think about the model of the Doggy Style album in terms of like it all sort of sounding cohesive, right? Like you said, like one sound, not like strictly for my guys. I think that Snoop and the Death Row guys might have been sort of the first guys to sort of deliberately sort of go that route in terms of like, let's just go with like one producer, right? Like one sound, whereas Pac had various different producers. But that was also the classic model for dropping any type of album back then, whether you were a rock group or a hip hop group. You needed a variety of shit because they were like, we don't know which one of these we're gonna slap against the wall to see which one fucking works for you.
Nah,
Pac was just saying they're artists, not just hip hop. They didn't understand they're fucking artists. That's why we always, for the rock guys, it's like do the hard track and do the ballad because one of these motherfuckers will work, right? So it's the same thing in hip hop when Pac was doing it. Like we're gonna give you, and I'm sure it was probably an argument. I make it sound so easy, but for him to drop a record like "Keep Your Head Up," I'm sure it was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, where's the party record? What are you talking about? Where's the fucking humpy dance that you promised us? Like. Something that because nobody's trying to let him drop Brenda's Got a Baby on the first album, but again, it's like he got his fucking way. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
These are the type of personalities that I'm talking about that deliver the products that we got. So I almost can't fault Pac for delivering it sort of like you're right, like well this was this, and then the song is this, and the other song is this, and this song is it's like different vibes. But
and just real quick too, just that Doggy Style album, that was like to me also the real introduction of the G-Funk sound. And that G-Funk sound, when you really listen to it, that shit is not
the Chronic, bro. Not the Chronic.
I mean, the Chronic, I think had it on there, but I think to me, Doggy Style was the next tier. Like to me,
for sure.
To me, Doggy Style is like a standard, especially from a producer perspective, how you have to work, in my opinion.
Oh wow, okay, fair enough.
And it gave up the Bootsy. That's what
yeah.
that became the root of Snoop's career, what we became familiar with, all of that, and it introduced him to a whole other generation and a different kind of.
Fair enough. Wrapping up this round, like, did I get everybody's vote? That's everybody, right?
I don't know, bro.
No.
I gotta get Ike.
You gotta get Ike and Breeze.
No, you got mine.
Breeze, I got it already.
Yeah.
Ike, okay, so listen, I think he's coming back, but either way, honestly, P, it's been a while since you've been here. Dave, it's your first time being here. Sometimes if you don't actually step up and give your vote at the initial part of the question, you get lost in the sauce. For example, Ike is a classic example. This is him, classic Ike hiding off screen, knowing that his vote, even if I requested it, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're so deep around it doesn't matter.
You gotta be ready to play hit him up anytime you come with the energy.
He probably might come back.
You know,
come back hard. You're a cause. He might come back.
I think Tupac jumped in and got involved and was like, "You not."
Yo.
Ike, with this being said, we're gonna continue because we gotta move on. But I just gotta let you know. I'd love to look right at you while I say this, but your vote doesn't matter, sir.
Yo, you hit the rock.
Step it up in the next round, baby. Step it up. Look at you. Look higher than me. We're moving on. Round number 3. It looks like we asked, when it comes to these two personalities derived from these two particular breakthrough projects, we decided to put the militant, uplifting mindset of Tupac against the laid-back, pimp, street style of Snoop Dogg. And it looks like everybody sort of, not everybody, but a good chunk of the room decided to go with Snoop Dogg on this particular question. And it looks like round number 3 wrapping up goes to Snoop Dogg, putting Snoop at an advantage with a 2-1 lead against Pac at the moment. Moving on to round number 4, we're talking again, Tupac Strictly for My Guys, Snoop Doggy Dogg's Doggy Style. This is where we talk about sort of that other Gemini spectrum of Tupac, at least at this point. Because I really feel like Snoop was having fun throughout the entire album. I think Pac was trying to deliver a message through most of his album, but he found time to have a little fun as well. So we're going to talk about 2 records where these guys are just having an enormous amount of fun. We obviously want to talk about the classic. Do I need to play it? Let's play just a ching. Just a ching. Just a ching.
Dang it. Everybody want to hear it.
You said everybody want to hear it? We got to play a little bit, featuring the gods, the legends, digital underground. I got to play a little, rest in peace, Shock G. A little bit of I Get Around.
Step up.
You talk about Shock G playing that piano chord.
Yo, Shock G was a great piano player.
Yeah, he is, right?
Dope piano.
I saw footage of him. He's nuts.
So many instruments.
Here you go. That's
to catch right. All respect to those who break their necks to keep their hosts.
Yo, it's
brother Majorly. I don't know why your girl keeps hating me. Tell me that she
But that was your girl.
Stop it. I thought that was your girl.
Lady, take it easy. DJ Scandalous with the good segue. I don't even know if he even knows this. Shout out to Special Ed, who produced on Tupac's Strictly for My Guys album.
Sure did.
All right.
Brooklyn.
He produced the track.
Guess Who's Back, right?
Guess Who's Back?
Yeah.
Guess Who's Back? Special Ed. And he's on it. Yeah. So shout out to Special Ed, Brooklyn.
AKA for the Cosby Show fans, JT Freeze.
JT Freeze.
Cosby Show.
JT Freeze.
Super old school for that one, yo.
Why didn't they let him rock with his own name? Just feel like a little, just to get the time.
JT Freeze.
JT Freeze.
Yeah, you can check somebody with that. You know who JT Freeze is? That's a secret. That's a secret handshake right there.
That's a secret handshake.
That's a secret handshake.
So again, we wanted to have some fun with it, like I said. So again, we love I Get Around. Again, rest in peace to Shock G, one half of Digital Underground at this point. It's a great record. It did wonders for his career. It's a great party record to this day, the DJ angle that we're talking about right here. But again, I had to talk about another classic off the Doggy Style record, Ain't No Fun. I gotta see.
Damn. Hey.
How about sample versus sample?
Take it
all back.
Man.
Damn.
Take it all back.
I had to stop right there because I was gonna finish the next line. I was gonna finish the next line. So I was like, I gotta stop now. Relax. Everybody's like, oh yeah.
R.I.P. Nate Dogg.
Nate Dogg.
Oh, rest in peace, Nate Dogg. Shit.
But to that same point made earlier about the use of a voice that signifies not only the sample, but a voice that signifies a certain sound of a certain time. Nate Dogg.
Who would have thought too, right? He's such a crooner.
But it works perfect because it helps sell a sample. You connect to it in a whole different way. So even though he's saying the lyrics that you're saying, you sitting there doing your, well, for me, my little auntie hip swing, like, like you're not even worried about what's being said about you.
Right.
I mean,
he ain't talking about me. What Chris Rock said.
Shout out to Flex. Flex used to play that a lot. And again, not a single, but Flex used to play the hell out of that. Yep. And the clean version is hysterical because it's like it is not fucking clean. It's like it's just a bunch of sound bites.
Like 14th Street, Master Flex.
Had the BET edit.
Master Flex night. Caught out there. What else? But anyway.
So again, I wanted to put these two monster fun ass tracks from both these guys again to show their fun side. Again, and whatever hill you want to stand on, it's all good. We do this again every Monday night, 8 standard time. It is. Go. Well, speak on it then, Scan. What you gonna do? You know, it sounds like you stepping up.
I mean, this is really a both of them. This is really a tough one because the Tupac joint, Monster single, big record as a DJ.
No video.
Definitely playing
iconic record.
Video. It has all the accolades. Now, the Snoop record, no video. No video for it.
No video.
But
it's a classic.
It is literally
classic.
just a classic and big by itself.
Yeah.
With no video, no nothing.
Right.
And no dirty version for us to be able to hear it when we had it.
And for that reason alone, I'm picking Snoop for this one. As tough as it may be.
Wow.
Look at that.
That's good rationale. Good rationale.
Actually, I'll stand on that.
I'm gonna have what he's having.
Oh, speak on it then. Are you feeling on the opposite side of this page right here?
No. It's all Snoop, all day, all the time. For this
Dave Jackson putting his vote down.
Dave Sam Snoop.
Well,
he sees the paint.
It's the one song that you can put on in the club, and it's unisex.
Yep.
You are singing it to each other.
Girls, true.
Yep.
True.
But it's so in hindsight when you think about it, it's so misogynistic.
It is.
They
and
sing
everybody's
both
singing it. It's
songs.
great.
Listen, bro.
Women sing both songs. Women sing both of these songs.
Yeah.
Women sing both of these songs.
They
man.
do.
True. They do.
Hence, the statement.
You don't know me. You just met me. You won't let me. Well, if I couldn't have it,
Have
then
it, silly rabbit. Why you
like
sweating?
that's not. That's a little bit more aggressive than
First and
misogyny.
foremost, everybody on here, everybody on here is underage, and y'all all had Luke. We all had Luke. And Luke was as worse as it got.
Right.
Ain't No Fun is not worse than any Luke record. I'm sorry.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But if Kurt ever gave a fuck about a bitch, he'd always be broke though.
Well,
Never had
no endo to smoke. That's
no endo to smoke.
Right.
What is Snoop be like? He's like, bitches don't mean shit to me. Like he was just going in.
Yeah.
But he been married to the same woman for damn near 30 years.
Again, a total facade. You're right. This is the game, right? But he's playing a specific. He's selling a specific front, and the front is like I don't give a fuck about these hoes. G's up, hoes down. Like,
but Pac had the fingertips on the hips.
Right.
No doubt.
But he said, baby, keep your head up. Keep your head up. Look up here. Look up here. My hands on your hips, but keep your head up.
But you got to get a tight grip on the hips. You have to get a tight grip.
But
your head up, baby girl.
Can I tell you that my little young self thought the lyrics because I didn't know the saying "loose lips sink ships," and I thought it was loose lips ain't shit, and I was like, "Damn, Pac, that's gross." Like, jeez, and I was like, "Oh,
wow,
lips."
It was probably a double entendre, as they say.
I just
a little too graphic.
A double entendre,
maybe, perhaps.
I'm pretty sure it was a double entendre. Is it?
Listen, what I see here is a couple people not scared to put their vote down, but not enough. So far, I only got Scans and Dave's vote. Both of them going for Ain't No Fun. Is anybody else feeling the same?
I'm going with Pac, man. I'm riding with Pac.
DJ Hobo standing his ground.
Make it interesting. Let's go.
I'm riding with Pac on this.
It's a classic. Is that the stance?
How can you? I mean, to Ike's point, everyone sings the Pac joint. And I know it's a different vibe. So if I go into the DJ bag as Scan and I often do, I'm probably playing I Get Around more than
it's safer. It's safer than playing.
I mean, that's true. It's
a lot safer.
It's coming.
Are you playing? They're coming from different.
Y'all playing this before Ain't No Fun or after? Where is it? DJ's gotta tell a story. So where is it?
I'm playing. You know what? That's a good question.
I was like, oh,
I like that question. You know what?
Before.
I'm gonna play. Yeah, I'm gonna play it before.
Yeah, I'll say before.
Yeah, I'm
That's what I was
before.
But again, does that mean it's your first pick, or is it just a safer pick?
Dancing ass.
No, that means it's my first pick.
Then play that after it leads in.
So P, which one you voting for of these two?
It's very difficult. So I'm going to take something very small and judge it by that.
Pause.
Intro. That when it drops and Shock G on them keys or that bling, 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 bling just hits a little bit different. So I'm going with Tupac.
I thought she was pulling the segment.
Let's go.
I'm going with Tupac.
We are officially in business, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we are officially in business. We got to vote.
Keys hit that's why, and you can go into Ain't No Fun after that, and you still vibing with it.
People a little more saucier, just a little.
Yes.
See, Ain't No Fun. You play No Fun, you might be leaving with something after that.
Very good point. Especially if she knows the words to it. No offense.
Yeah, you might be leaving with something.
It's a different perspective. You're kind of talking to the different eras a little bit. You know what I mean? And that was Snoop's perspective on his. You know what I'm saying? Now,
okay,
I'm gonna just vote with Snoop on this one, even though I had to learn the first verse to try to get the Tupac audition the first time they tried to do this shit. But I'm riding with Snoop on this one.
You're really hating against your own personal life experiences in the voting tonight.
It's
taking it very personal.
It's so funny because my whole entire life, you're trying to be Pac. And I'm like, are you listening to a fucking thing that I'm saying? I'm like,
you just throw a fucking beard or something, dude. You be all right.
Yo, I just got my goatee like last week. I didn't even
honestly, you guys better bring it back. I can't see it. You gotta get a refund.
I didn't get a nose ring. Me and my family, we was all gonna get.
No, you can't do that. No. See you playing into it. You can't do that.
Hold on a second.
You can't do that.
Hold on a second. I got it already. But back at the time, around when this album came out, my grandmother moved to Florida. Me and my family, we was all gonna get nose rings. So I didn't get it because everybody was like, oh, you're going to try to be like Pac. I'm like, I'm not trying to be like Pac. Fast forward, I'm on the radio. You can imagine how many times I've already heard it. Like I said, I've got stories on top of stories. I go to get my truck washed one day. I stand up to hand the dude my ticket. He's like, yo. He surrounds me with everybody standing there. He's like, yo, it's Tupac. So I'm standing there like a lab rat holding this thing. And I was like, yo, fam, it don't matter if I have the damn nose ring or not. You know what I mean? So it's not that. I have a lot of good stories.
If you want to live that life, they sell clip-ons. That's all I'm saying.
Barbados, they're taking pictures of. I got it now.
Somebody said I don't love my moms because I should have been in LA taking pictures a long time ago.
Oh shit!
I'll put the bandana on before the show's over.
Yeah, right?
Listen, let me keep this pushing real quick, only because we're running down on time, but we're officially two people on each side of the board right here. I'm going to go with Triple C. I'm going to start calling people out because people take it too long. They'll be mad if you last, I ain't pick you. You know what I'm saying? Hey. Triple C, who do you got, brother?
I had to take a little intimation because I didn't want to. It ain't no fun if Trip got to pee on himself. So,
wow.
I would have given my answer a long time ago.
Here I was thinking you were playing up to the eat part of each group. You're getting yourself a snack.
Hey, look, man. As long as you're at your house, Triple C, man.
Gotta do what I gotta do, baby.
Just roll
so Triple C, no, it's true. It's like don't grade my paper if you haven't eaten yet, right? So here we go. I asked you the question without having to go to the bathroom anymore. When we're talking about I Get Around versus Ain't No Fun, who do you got?
No fun. Back the days.
You're so cut and dry, Triple C. Like, give me that one. I want that one. Ain't no fun, Triple C. Ain't no reason, Triple C. Ain't no reason.
No.
I used to be on the block with the OE.
Yeah.
I just be on the block with the OE. Shit. Oh, bless you,
There you
Triple C.
go.
A big smile to my face, Triple C.
God bless you.
Cool Breeze.
Yes,
I'm looking at you. You representing the West Coast. I'm expecting a very philosophical answer from you, but do what you do, baby. Who do you got?
And listen, the show's almost over. So I'm gonna go with Ain't No Fun, because everyone can sing to it.
Ah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, but so Black Moses brought up a good point. Said you cannot play Ain't No Fun at the family cookout. Under no
well, it depends on kind of family.
Your family.
No
Depends. Your family.
We all jump in there like, well, depends on your family.
That's the first place I heard that song. No, for real. The first place I heard it was somebody that got
Yo, hold on.
Depending on who
and
got
I heard
the
the beginning. I was like, oh, I know this. And I was like, I don't know this.
Hey, listen, once
I
everybody
will say you went at the family picnic if it is
start
the dirty
drinking.
version. You went. You like, oh, grandma.
that's it. Ain't no fun. When the spades start going, they're not even gonna hear it in the background.
I think the singing along factor, it plays a huge part to do with it as well. Because it's just a fun record. It's a dirty, filthy record. But this is what Snoop brought to the table at that time. A little bit, like I said, that comedic kind of like
True.
a little bit of
And the beat's unique too and dope too.
super dope.
Sure.
This is one of the few beats, if I'm not mistaken, before I say this, hold on, that I think, no, he doesn't, not in this one. I think it's only on Murder Was the Case where Daz gets production credit. There's a lot of, obviously, rumored that we've all heard about Daz, producing more than he's gotten credit for. But then I've also heard, sort of, I think it was Corrupt give an explanation of like, yeah, a lot of people would step to the table with samples and stuff like that and loops. He's like, but you give it to Dre and it's a whole different ball game after that. And it's like, it's true. Like you gave me that and then I made it this. So there you go.
It's not bad, bro.
But this, I thought he got credit on this one. It's Murder Was the Case where he got credit on that. But again, I don't know if I got everybody's vote, but at this point, it honestly doesn't matter, strictly because the Desire Room is looking very heavy-sided on the Ain't No Fun featured off Snoop Doggy Dogg's Doggy Style 1993 release, which puts this round at the end with Snoop winning this round, which officially puts Snoop overall the winner of this entire game. We had 5 rounds rounded up, but at 3 to 1 at this point, it's a Snoop Doggy Dogg world, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Doggy Style being the winner of tonight's Who Do You Got battle. It's again, I think it was heavily predicted based on you guys in the very beginning. Right. But I do think that Pac still holds that iconic world international face of hip hop status that he does. I mean, he represents hip hop. For sure. Foremost than anything else. And I think that's not a bad face to have represent hip hop around the world. And it kind of started off, with the album before this, but again, this is sort of labeled as his breakthrough
there it
project.
is. Yep.
What?
He's alive. He's alive.
I just saw what you're talking about. I'm like, I'm like looking down like, oh shit. Ladies and gentlemen, here at EBR, we have special guests showing up. Sure. The official hologram model for the Tupac comeback concert 2025. The infamous, baby.
Ella should have ever wrote since '94.
I'm gonna need you to go get it. Gotta get that nose press on ring, man.
No, I got a nose ring.
Get a clip on. Get a clip on.
I got a nose ring already. I got that one.
You got the bandana on.
Yo, I went to the Halloween parade in the city one year. All I did was take a hoodie and a bandana, right? I'm driving.
Wait, I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna guess. They thought you were Tupac.
Yo, we stopped at a corner. I said, let's see how fast it works. I lowered the window down. I stuck my head out. And I was like, yeah, I think that, yo, look at Tupac. And I rolled the window up. And my man's wife was like, yo, you're being an asshole now. And I was like, no, I didn't. We got out the car. As soon as I got on Canal Street, 5 women from DC stopped me. I must have took like 30, 20 photos. That night, it was crazy. Lord knows, I'm still trying to see if one of these photos are floating somewhere. of me standing around Washington Square Park with some. I was taking all types of photos. It was crazy.
Yo, I feel you.
Again, we do this every Monday night.
That's Black Elvis. Black Elvis.
Well, again, we just want to wrap up this evening with, with it being stated that Snoop Doggy Dogg's Doggy Style is the official winner when we decided to put that album up against Tupac, Strictly for My Guys. And that's the official winner for tonight. So again, we do this every Monday night, 8 p.m. live Eastern Standard Time, live on Twitch, and we're dropping new episodes on YouTube regularly now, every week, Sundays, as a matter of fact. Join us, Eats, Beats, and Rhymes, one word. Follow us there, comment, like. This video will be up soon enough, sooner than you think. And again, we just appreciate our special guest tonight, Phenomenal P, my man Dave Jackson. It was great to see you guys. You know, I got mad love for you guys. Doors always open anytime. Yeah, we're Wild Plaza, baby. Doors always open for you guys whenever you guys want to come through. Like I said, it's it's great to have you guys here, get a fresh perspective on things, and it's nice to shake things up a little bit. And to the guys, thank you so much for joining us in the chat room. I appreciate you guys again for leaving the comments and hanging out with us all night. I can't believe that you guys still do that with us every week. It's fucking awesome to know that there's a bunch of people hanging out there watching this shit, and we do it because we just fucking have fun doing it. So hope you guys have fun watching and participating. And again, we'll do this next Monday. We don't know what the battle will be yet, but make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, YouTube, follow, play, share, like. It always helps us out, and we appreciate you guys so much. Yes. Everybody have a fantastic evening, and thank you for joining us again. Who do you got?
Peace, y'all.
Hey.
Peace.